how things are being done. And when we looked at Interlochen in that Millbrook area, they're in the same watershed, we found that, realistically, we need to take a whole look at the whole area. So I've been talking to the other cities in the Village Creek watershed to basically get interest in getting that stuff taking a look at it and having that. But we do use the information from the Interlochen area study if there is a development occurring in there to manage what's going on, because we're confident in the technical data. We just realized that we needed to take a larger look at what's going on with Village Creek in general.
Well, do you want to explain your personal and the development that's?
Yeah, at what point do you all get that information? So I actually live in Locken Green 1, not the one off of Division Street. So when homes are proposed near us, when do you look at it and say, yes, this is not going to be a problem? Because a lot of that water runs into our canal, the Locken Green Canal, and then it runs into Interlochen. And, our canal, because of Sunset Hills building above us, and the wall on the side of the Arlington Baptist College that's eroding, I think both of those gets into our canal, which I would think that is an issue with water going through. But so if new houses were being proposed, where is it that you all get that information?
Our planning and development group manages the planning and zoning, as well as all of the review of subdivisions and new houses that come in. And so when they get a development proposal come in, they come and talk to us and ask us if we have information that we can share to the developer. And so that's where we come in. We provide them the information and what we know is going on in the watershed, but from getting everything permitted from that standpoint, platted and permitted, that's with the Planning and Development Services Department. So we inform them, but they lead the whole review process on getting that stuff to, working with the developer to get it to construction.
So just to clarify, so this happens at the planning and zoning level?
Yeah, usually at the platting, or if it doesn't have to go through a platting process, they'll still come to us and say, we have this, if the lot is already platted, they say, okay, we have this doctor's office that wants to come in, what information do y'all have? And then that's when we provide the information to them.
Going back to Matthews Court, I think there's 3 problems that they're dealing with before they can continue with that. But once it gets under Randall Mill, then it's in a creek that's not named, and we call it the creek with no name. And the erosion is pretty bad there. You said you walked all the creeks.
Mm-hmm.
Did you walk that creek?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
So you know what I'm talking about. When it
Yes.
gets up close to Oakwood, it's only about a foot or so away from
Yeah,
Oakwood.
so we'll be addressing that issue, where it's basically eroding up to that sidewalk and all of that. We'll be addressing that with the Matthews Court project. Basically, we'll have to do roadway improvements in Randall Mill to put in more culverts, and then we'll extend partially into the park to stabilize what's going on there.
What if the neighborhood has a really wonderful plan for the creek with no name? Do we go to you first?
Yeah, you can talk to me about it, yeah.
Do we have to go to the Corps of Engineers?
Well, it just depends on what you want to do.
We want to do a lot. We really have we've teamed up with the UTA
Okay,
landscape architecture.
okay,
And he just gave a presentation Tuesday at City Council.
okay. Yeah.
And anyway, half of the park is still green, and the other half has a lot of activities. But we're thinking about the green side and what could be done to make that look really great. So would we take that first to the Corps of Engineers, or would we go? You just told me, but I forgot.
Well, I can arrange a meeting with Parks and us, and we can talk about what you're proposing to do. We just need to take a look at it to see Well, you know, if you stay out of certain limits of the creek, you don't need a Corps permit for it. And so that's what we have to look at. We have to see, okay, what are you actually proposing to do? Because not everything has to go to the Corps. Now, when you get down into the creek and start getting into where the water is normally flowing, that's when we have to trigger, like, does this need the Corps' review too? So we just have to see what you're doing.
If anybody wants to know about erosion, she was talking about the dredging of the Randall Mill pool, pond. And it, by the way, it was dredged less than 10 years ago. All you have to do to find out how bad it was is to drive up Green Oaks where it turns into, I guess it's East Chase, where they dumped the mud they took out of there. Isn't that where it went? There, right off of Green Oaks Boulevard.
The dredging right now,
The
I was
spoils.
gonna say, they're not supposed to be putting that there.
Where they taking it to?
Right now, we're taking it to the stockpile that we have in the landfill. Yeah,
Because there's dredging came from someplace they dumped there.
okay.
Yeah, and they
I think that was
fill about an
Millcroft.
acre of ground
I think
there
that was
with
Millcroft.
stuff that's come out of a pool somewhere.
Some of them where they got caught, they had to pay fines, right?
I don't know, because it stopped and they're out there leveling it off now. But anyway, I was just telling you the amount of stuff that's dropped. It came up from, if you can see it's been compressed out of the dredge.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Random Mill was.
No, they're not supposed to be putting any of the dredge material in locations that we haven't specified.
Back to the interlocking, and then, I noticed today on Division Street, I understand that's state, it's the section right by Village Creek. I noticed they were doing some work down in it's not on the creek, but it's in one of those overflow areas. Would that be the state?
It could be us, it could be the state. I'll have to ask our field operations group to see if they're out there.
Yes, okay. Because it's in the creek bed, or
Yeah.
actually one of the overflow beds.
Okay.
It's between where,
I'll have to check with our field
between Rush
operations
and
group.
Village Creek, and then that, yeah, I thought maybe that might be something you would do. Okay. Any other questions?
I just have one more about the creek at Randall Mill. If you increase the flow of the water coming from the Matthews Court project, coming under Randall Mill Road, if you increase that water, don't you put more silt back down into the pond?
No, and it's because we're not increasing the water. We're taking it from, it's basically the same amount of water that's getting to Randall Mill Park. It's gonna continue getting there today, and we've designed the project to make sure that it doesn't cause a rise within Randall Mill Park. So we're not, even though we're mitigating flooding out of people's homes and getting it to a channel more effectively, we designed the project in such a way that as it travels through that channel, it's basically the same volume of water that they're receiving today. And so that's part of the erosion improvements too that they're doing in that area, is to dissipate that energy, in a sense, from the water in that area just downstream of Randall Mill. But not, like, just partially in the park area, but not, it shouldn't blow out the entire park, if that's what you're thinking. But we've gone through and designed that to mitigate any of the impacts from that.
You have to speak.
I was told by the,
No.
I was told by the Parks Department that there was 8 feet of silt in that pond, and it cost $500,000. It cost more than that. What did it cost?
This is 1.5 million.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to remove that
Yeah, and
silt.
we're very conscious of that. We're partnering with the Parks Department on that project. My group is managing that, and so we're very conscious of managing in any project we do, regardless of what's happening. Like, we were very conscious of making sure that it doesn't cause more erosion. Like, it's self-mitigating is what we like to call it. It mitigates any of the impacts that it could potentially cause.
I understand the Corps is the approving authority for most of the projects that you deal with? Is that correct?
On a majority of them. They don't get involved with our projects if it's storm drain related, but if we're getting down into a natural creek area, 9 times out of 10, we do have to coordinate with the Corps on what we're doing.
How are they to work with?
It's like any agency, I mean, it depends on the project manager you get, but most of the time we have a very positive relationship with the Corps, and they're generally pretty good to work with, you know, in terms of federal agencies, so.
Better than they were.
Yeah, I mean, we have a very positive relationship with them, so we try to keep them in the loop on when we're doing stuff, and so that generally, open lines of communication help with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.